Meeting of the Villa Park Village Board on May 22nd to order, and please, clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Aiello. Trustee Cazone.
Here.
Trustee Case.
Here.
Trustee Tucker.
Here.
Trustee Wagner.
Here.
President Bolfus.
Here. So I'll rise for the pledge, and after the pledge, please remain standing for a short prayer by Trustee Wagner. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing a moment, please. Trustee Wagner.
Thank you. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect the residents, staff, businesses, surrounding communities, and all those that enter the village of Villa Park. And continue to remind us that all we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth, for the greater glory of you, and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Okay, we'll start with the committee of a whole. And is there any amendments to the agenda from the board? Seeing none, we'll move to item number 4. Proclamation recognizing Historic Preservation Month and presentation of the Historic Preservation Awards. The proclamation. Whereas this place matters is the theme of National Preservation Month 2017, co-sponsored by the Villa Park Historic Preservation Commission and the Village of Villa Park, that celebrates and honors the past while looking forward to the future. And whereas the Village of Villa Park recognizes and is proud to have 2 nationally registered properties, over 80 buildings that have been historically recognized, and 2 locally designated historic landmark business districts. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contribution made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped Villa Park and us as a people. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool of managing growth, sustaining development, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation encourages community reinvestment, saving resources and promoting socially, culturally, and economically rich communities. And whereas historic preservation is inherently economically, environmentally, socially sustainable, fostering the culture of reuse and maximizing the life cycle of all resources through conservation. Now therefore, I, Albert Bolfus, Village President of Villa Park, do recognize May 2017 as National Historic Preservation Month and proclaim May 2017 as Villa Park's Historic Preservation Month, and call upon the people of Villa Park to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing and participating in this special observance. Carol, this is for Carol Marcus. She's a chairman of our Historic Preservation Commission.
Thank you.
And
it's the first time I got a proclamation frame. That's
yeah.
Great. Put it in the museum. It's great.
And Carol has a presentation for some awards for historic homes and businesses.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to congratulate you for winning the election, and our new board member, Cheryl Tucker, and thank you everybody for your support. This place matters. What a theme, because this place really matters. We live in a great town. We love our town. We have great people, and we have great buildings. And tonight, I'm going to be presenting some of the great buildings we have in town. The diverse architecture styles are special. Our town is now 100 years old in 2014, and it takes preservation and maintenance to keep our homes special. So tonight I'm here to present awards to 4 homeowners and commercial building owner for their work on their property. And believe me, they were renovated quite a bit. So the first person I'd like to bring up, and this is in the order that I received the application, is Dan Kuffner. And he's receiving a historic preservation plaque for his unique arts and craft bungalow-style house that was built in 1917. And it's celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. And this is what it looked like before. Okay, keep that in mind. The property has a very large, beautifully landscaped yard that has been featured in last year's garden walk and was visited and oohed and ahed by everybody. It is located on South Summit Avenue as in the Art Villa subdivision. It is named the Engelberner House after its first owner. Now this is also unique because it's the first time we plaque somebody in that subdivision. So I'd like to present Dan with his official certificate and his official plaque.
Oh.
And then, remember I showed you the, oh, God. I need cameras on it, you know. There you go, Jerry. And then this is what his house looks like now.
Beautiful.
Pretty. Very nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next award goes to Kevin and Marianne Welcher and the family. They're receiving a Historic Preservation Award for their stately two-story stucco 1927 English Tudor house, and is named Stigat after the first owner. When I received the application, oh my gosh, she did genealogy, and Mr. Stigat was a very interesting fellow. I bet you'd never even heard of him either. I didn't, certainly. Anyways, he served in World War I and had owned a lumber store in Villa Park, and was called the Art Villa Lumber, and was on St. Charles Road. And his lumber was used in construction of a lot of the homes in the town. And in 1931, he was also on the Chamber of Commerce in Villa Park. Now, his father was really interesting. He migrated from Germany, and he lived in Chicago in 1967, and he was a pioneer. He built up the Lakeview area, and he also owned a lumber yard, very significant. And he was on the Interstate Commerce Commission, and he fathered 8 children, so there's a lot of CPS around. I'm not sure how many. Did he build your house?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. I wasn't sure of that. So come on up and receive your official plaque and certificate. And this is the Seagat house.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
This is so much fun. The next person I'd like to give a award to is Michael and Tracy Steik. Michael, come on up. And he's going to receive a Sears Catalog home plaque for the attractive stucco Osborne model home located on South Princeton Avenue. It's in the Ardmore subdivision. It's built in 1915, and it's one of those houses that was built as a model to attract people to Villa Park when the Chicago Aurora and Elgin train went by. It's an attractive sprawling, it has an attractive sprawling front porch with ornamental piers, brackets, and just chock full of charm. The interior was also painstakingly restored and reflects master craftsmanship. He did such a good job on his house, he sold it. And there were 300 people lined up to see it, and he had multiple offers on the house. And congratulations to you. And you can see. And lastly, I'd like to call up Raymond and Tammy Hensley, Jack and Tammy, to receive a Historic Landmark Award for their distinctive two-story cream-colored Romanesque style commercial building that was built in 1923. There are 2 bays, windows in the storefront, and exterior has stone ornamentation, other elements. Now, it's called Romanesque because the architecture resembles those in the Roman times. A lot of stonework on that. It's located at 9 East Park Boulevard in the historic section of town there. Originally was the National Tea Grocery Store, and later became Mike's Meat Market and occupied that location for 37 years. They're not there now. It's now the home of the Park Arts Center, a non-for-profit that has exhibits and galleries and provides art education. Thank you very much. And they don't have the certificates because we haven't figured out the size and the wording and where we're going to put it. So this is their storefront. And originally, the bay windows were boarded up, and they were like the Wild West, like what was popular architecture in the 70s. Everybody did that, and the building is nicely restored. Congratulations. Now that concludes our presentation, but I just want to say the present owners and caretakers are commended for their contribution to this community and for the preservation and maintenance of these important structures that links the past and the future of Villa Park. These buildings are important. I also want to say in town, you can pick up this at the Historical Museum. It's a walking tour. We've seen this for that, but please go on the tour. Within a half an hour, you can see a lot of history and walk around. We have Frank Lloyd Wright Home in town. We have a Mies van der Rohe design building. And of course, the Ovaltine factory is rich in history. So with that, thank you very much and good night. We're also going to the back room for pictures and close the door and be quiet.
Thank you very much for your time and effort you put into researching these homes, Carol.
I think the homeowners did a great job.
Oh, very good.
I'm teaching them to do themselves.
Good. Good. Thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda is a proclamation recognizing National Boating Week. Whereas each year nearly 90 million Americans take to the water and enjoy time together boating, sailing, paddling, and fishing. And whereas people continue to enjoy all that our nation's waterways have to offer through the joy of boating year-round. Whereas on average, 650 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the United States, and approximately 3/4 of these fatalities are caused by drowning. And whereas the vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors, and whereas a significant number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today if they had worn life jackets, and whereas safe and responsible boating includes never operating a boat while under the influence of drugs or alcohol and knowing basic navigational rules. Whereas National Safe Boating Week is observed each year to bring attention to life-saving tips for recreational boaters so that they can have a safe, more enjoyable experience on the water. Now I, therefore, Albert Bulthus, Village President of Villa Park, do hereby support the goals of the North American Safe Boating campaign and proclaim May 20th to 27th, 2017 as National Safe Boating Week and the start of the year-round effort to promote safe boating. And we have a couple members of the Coast Guard Auxiliary here, and you guys want to come up here in front? You can tell us a little bit about where you're located and the auxiliary. There you go. Okay. Thank you. Use the mic there, please, so the people at home can hear you.
I want to thank the Village Board for assisting us with the recognition of the Safe Boating Week. My name is Dennis Circle. I'm the flotilla commander of 4111, which has just been relocated to the Calvary United Methodist Church in your town. It's a very warm welcome. We look forward to having a long time there, and hopefully can promote additional members to join us at that location. I'd like to introduce past Division Commander Larry Helena.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I would like to make one correction for the books. I was a Division Vice Commander. However, I cannot tell you, I'm approaching 30 years now in the auxiliary, and I cannot tell you the fond, grateful, thankful feeling I get every time that we help a distressed boater, especially someone who is in the process of losing their life, and we know if we weren't there they would have lost their lives. We don't care if they know our name. We don't care if they know who we are. All we want to know is that we made a difference. And your help in helping us with this proclamation to get the word out and promote safety every time we go on a mission to save someone's life or a distressed voter of any kind, we'd like you to know you're just as responsible for that life-saving as we are because of your support. I can't thank you enough, and I hope that this will be for many years, that we can have this working relationship together. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. If you want, gentlemen, go in the back room over there. Maybe the press will take some pictures of you with your plaque there, and maybe. Item number 6, recognition of Senior of the Year by the Senior Concerns Commission. I think we'll turn it over to Hosanna Kornacki.
Yes, I'm the advisor to the Senior Concerns Commission, and every year at the senior fair, they announce a Senior of the Year. And this is something that during the year, some recognition is given to our senior. He's honored at the 4th of July parade and other times that are appropriate with the Senior Concerns Commission. This year, we're very happy to announce that William Nolden was nominated, and we went by the school where he's a crossing guard and actually gave him the award right after he's finished his duties at 3 o'clock. So it was a very nice experience. Bill, if you want to come up to, if you want to say a few words and accept your certificate. And we certainly, this is the person who received the most nominations from the residents in Villa Park.
Well, thank you, Zima, and thanks to the commission as well. I was
Bill,
really
you need to go by the mic.
People at home want to hear you.
Yes.
No, they
Yeah.
they will. But I'll go over here. Is this good?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, thanks to you, thanks to the commission. I was really honored by this. I was very surprised, as you knew, when you gave it to me that Friday afternoon. So, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I just want to mention the reason Bill won, the residents realized his faithfulness in being a crossing guard about 9 years now. I think you started another school, now you're at Ardmore.
Yes.
He is with the CERT Citizens Emergency Response Team.
Yes.
He does traffic direction during the 4th of July parade and has helped with the police drug take-back
Yes.
very faithfully. And you do the movies at the library, September to May.
Yes.
Sunday afternoon matinee. So he's very involved in the community, and that's why he won this award. So thank you, Bill, for your
thank you.
service. I think you want to give our past senior, Sid,
Yeah, we're ready to do that.
3 minutes
Yep.
now. Okay. The 2016 Senior of the Year was Sid Berg, and I think he wanted to just say a couple words.
Last year's Senior of the Year.
Yes.
I've got other things to say, but I just wanted to say it's nice to turn the reins of Senior Citizen of the Year over to such a guy as Bill Holden.
Good. Thank you, Bill. Thanks, Sid.
So Sid, stay there. You want to tell us about the VFW while you're up there, about the Memorial Day festivities.
I would be happy to. I want to get this out of the way so my face can show up.
Well, you want to miss that.
We need the pretty face of this.
Agreed.
Well, I won't lie about the Memorial Day. Just a pretty face. We will be having a Memorial Day memorial at the Veterans Cortese Park on the 29th, which is next Monday, and it will be at 11 o'clock. And our village president has consented to say a few words, and I'll have my cane along so I can yank him off if necessary.
Please.
There will be a light lunch served after it at the VFW, which you all would be invited to. Now, if you as trustees and Portia, our lovely lady lawyer for the village for many, many years, would also be included with you guys. And Nick, especially Nick, you can say whatever you want, because I can hook you off.
You hook
But no,
fast.
on a more serious basis, you would all be invited to say what Memorial Day would mean to you. And I could go on and on, but I think I'd just like to see you all there Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. Item number 7, discussion of Oktoberfest. I'm going to turn it over to Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. On an annual basis, the village sponsors and/or supports various events, including, among others, the July 4th Parade, Summerfest, Oktoberfest, Brewfest, and Joyful Traditions. This year, School District 45 Foundation of Excellence is planning to hold an event entitled 45 Fest, which would raise funds to support the enrichment of educational opportunities for their students. This fun-filled community-wide event is scheduled to occur on October 13th, 14th, and 15th of this year and is expected to be comprised of carnival rides, a beer tent, music, and vendors. This event is very similar to Oktoberfest and will occur within 3 to 4 weeks of the village's Oktoberfest event. Staff is concerned that the close timing of the two events will strain community-wide participation either financially or via attendance. After careful consideration, staff is recommending canceling Oktoberfest and allowing our community to support and focus upon the School District 45 Foundation of Excellence event, which would raise funds in support of their students. If Oktoberfest were to be canceled, our Lions Club would lose a fundraising opportunity during the event. To ensure our Lions Club does not lose their fundraising opportunity, staff proposes that they work with our Summerfest volunteers at the beer tent to earn and split the beer sale proceeds with the village. Moving into the future, our Lions Club would assist annually with the Summerfest event with the beer tent activities. Staff is seeking direction from the President Board of Trustees to proceed or to cancel Oktoberfest for 2017. And Your Honor and Board and folks in the audience at home, staff understands that Oktoberfest has been an event for many, many, many years. In fact, so many years. We believe it predates 1989, and the Lions have been a part of that for a substantial time. And so recommending canceling of the Oktoberfest does not come lightly. However, having the D45 45 Fest come this year, we believe it'll strain financial abilities of families and possibly the attendance because it's in approximately 3 to 4 weeks of each other. But additionally, over the last several years, staff has noticed that Oktoberfest attendance has been declining. Vendor participation has been declining, just as it has been in the French market, as I think all of us are aware that this year's French market was canceled also due to lack of vendor participation. So there are a number of items that we've thought about. Like I mentioned, the dwindling attendance, and it's very competitive with the community-wide events. And what we've also noticed that area, village, and cities also have events similar to what we're doing. In fact, during the same weekend, several years in a row, Elmhurst, through their Chamber of Commerce, has an event. I believe it's their block party that I believe has substantially hurt attendance for the Oktoberfest. But some folks don't realize, or maybe don't think about, even the weather plays a part. So if it rains, we're still responsible to pay for the band, still responsible to pay for the carnival folks and things of that nature. So it's been kind of a declining process over a number of years. And like I said, it wasn't taken lightly. But on an annual basis, and in the budget, I'm sure you've seen that I believe we have $30,000 budgeted for the Oktoberfest to pay for the bands and to pay for the carnival folks, things of that nature. But in other parts of the budget, we also schedule overtime for the police because we have to man Oktoberfest day and night. And night, you're probably thinking, why, Keener? It's because we leave everything in place. So the police are there at night to make sure nothing happens. It takes staff the whole week to set up for Oktoberfest, and then they work it. because Oktoberfest is actually put on by village staff. It isn't put on by a committee of volunteers. It's actually the staff who does Oktoberfest. So, like I said, it wasn't something that we put together lightly, but we would certainly appreciate some direction from the board to keep or to cancel. And if we decide to cancel, maybe it's just for 2017, and we talk about it on year basis. But thank you, Your Honor, for letting me elaborate.
Thank you. So we like to have a discussion. Any board member like to start? Trustee Aiello.
Appreciate very much the comments of the village manager and staff's efforts that are necessary to do this. Especially to have two of us within approximately 4 weeks of each other to 3 weeks of each other. Taking that into thoughtful consideration, what I'd like to do for this year is leave it on board for this year. See how this plays out for this year, and based on what we see this year, make a decision on this next year for whether we cancel Oktoberfest going forward. But for this year, I'd like to keep it on one more time just to see how that works out with 2 events in a row and possibly burn some money that we shouldn't have burned by having this kept on for 1 more year.
Anybody else? Oh, Trustee Wagner.
Thank you. I see the manager's reasoning on this, and just to thinking about it, we have some other new events. Brewfest is going to be a new event. There are more concerts going on in Cortese Park. So there's not a lack of activity or not a lack of events for residents to attend. I see the manager's reasoning. I know that income from Oktoberfest fluctuates from year to year, and I see his reasoning here, and I'm in favor of canceling it.
Yes, Dan.
I would like to go with the year-to-year basis, try it for 1 year and then I would like to cancel Oktoberfest too, but see how it works this year, and then if we have to go back to Oktoberfest, take 1 year at a time.
Yes, Trustee Kazone.
It's the manager. Do we have an idea, do we make any money on the Oktoberfest at all, or is it more something that the village just pays for, as an entertainment for the village?
Yes, and correct me, Director Gold, if I'm incorrect, but I think since I've been here, I think we've lost money every year. And really, that may not be a bad thing. It's more of a quality of life issue. But we talk about as staff that we put the money in the budget. It doesn't break even, and it loses money, but it's extremely weather dependent. And I'm not, please don't take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to persuade you one way or the other, but D45 is really looking forward to raising at least $50,000. And I know that they've got a tremendous amount of volunteers that's going to put a lot of sweat and effort into the event. So we've also thought about that, having 2 events so close to each other, that what they're trying to do for the students is fantastic. And to raise that kind of money, Oktoberfest has never did that. And so I would not want to take anything away from them, but I'm not trying to persuade you any way, which way. I just need direction to tell staff to go and complete the task or not. So thank you, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Trustee Tucker?
What are we basically going to need as support for 45 to have it? Is the village going to be required to, supply police and so are we also going to need to assist them in this event, this 45 Fest, or are they actually handling it all on themselves?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's a very good question, Trustee Tucker. As all events within the Village of Villa Park, all event coordinators are now required to complete a special event application. And so D45 representatives, the foundation representatives, have done that and have reached out to staff. And we've reviewed that and signed off But yes, they've asked for police presence, barricades, things of that nature, and we're happy to do that. We're happy to support D45. One of the issues with this particular event application is the labor cost. And to supply labor for this event, I believe the initial costs were around $7,800. So we talked to the school district, Chief Pavlicek did, and said, listen, if you can supply overnight guardianship of the event, that will substantially reduce your police costs, because we did not waive them. Since it's a labor cost, we put together a budget for them, and we're asking for them to reimburse the village. If it's a vehicle, something like that we wouldn't be using anyway, or the generator, sure, that's no problem. But when you use labor, those folks expect to be paid, and sometimes it's a strain upon your budget. So we did offer ways to reduce their cost for a police presence, and I believe they're taking advantage of that and have located volunteers that will spend the night with the equipment overnight. So we're looking forward to that event, and we did help them through the completion of the event application process. Thank you, Ron.
Okay. Is that
This is only discussion, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to,
Well, you like to what?
I'd like to carry it to the next meeting, because I'd like to ask some questions that aren't.
I don't know if the committee.
I'm just wondering how much time do we got to
That's how
to
much
decide
time.
on this?
I think we're probably at the point where we have to make the decision now, because if they're gonna have to line up entertainment and that type of thing, we're already behind the 8 ball with that, so. But let me just say, put my 2 cents in. Talking about, let's give it one more year. Well, we've already had 30 years, and we've seen it go down in attendance and go down in revenue and down in local vendor participation. The only one I remember offhand as far as a vendor in the last couple of years has been Michael Anthony's Pizza, and I can't think of anybody else offhand from a local vendor who comes there. So I think we've had plenty of years of history to see what the downward trend has been in the last few years. So the question for me is, okay, has this run its course? Should we try something new? And I think that's why we have the Brewfest on. It's something new, which is kind of exciting. And with this opportunity with District 45 to have their anniversary event there, I'd say let's go with the 45 event, and we'll see what the response is from the public. But I think some of the volunteers that 45 is going to get might be some of the same people who would be volunteering at the Oktoberfest, even though most of it comes with the carnival package. So I think we've had the years of experience, and we haven't seen any uptick in attendance in the last number of years. And especially, you remember those years when it rained and they had to pull the county right out of there with the front loader because they were stuck in the mud. So, and we lost money on that even more. So, I think it's time to bite the bullet and say, we've had enough. We're not making any money. We're not, attendance is down, so is it really supplying what the community wants? So, Trustee Wagner.
Thank you, President Boltes. This really isn't a surprise, since the manager alerted us to this, that this was coming in his report, and I think in open meetings, that this request to cancel Oktoberfest was coming. So,
yeah, it's been in the weekly reports.
Right.
And yes.
Your Honor, may I add
Go
something?
ahead, sure.
Thank you, Your Honor, and Board, and folks at home and here. Trustee Tucker and I talked a little bit today about this as well. And maybe some of you here and at home are thinking, well, what about the Lions? I did speak to representatives of the Lions Club, and they were actually, quite frankly, very excited about doing Summerfest. And with all due respect, the Lions Club is a more mature club. And sometimes they have difficulty at Oktoberfest putting up the tents and taking down the tents. It's a workload. So with Summerfest, it's really kind of a turnkey. You'd come in, the Lions would check IDs, the Lions would help serve, and that way that they would be earning their fundraising opportunity just as they did in Oktoberfest. Thank you.
Anyone else want to add anything? Yes, Trustee Tucker.
Is this 45 Fest is supposed to be a continuation, or is it just 1 year?
Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe it's the first annual is the way it was put to me.
So they're thinking of continuing it after this year.
Trustee Allo?
I was involved in some of the 45 stuff, so very much want 45 to do their annual thing. And I like that idea. My thinking on not wanting to kill that Lions Oktoberfest is, in part, you do have that difference in demographic that I expect to attend the 45 event, and I expect that to be a different demographic than when they do the Lions Club event. But if Lions Club is wholly in support of our ending the Oktoberfest, if they're okay with that, then I would be happy to agree. Do we have any kind of indication from Lions Club, from anybody on the board?
Director Viscella says, a member of the Lions Club, so I think he's their treasurer, or no, that's not you, so.
Has anybody on the
That's
board,
Kevin, yeah.
has anybody on the board heard from anybody from the Lions Club?
And is anybody on the board up here
Yeah.
heard from the Lions Club?
Yes.
I haven't, no.
I haven't either. Okay.
We discussed it at last week's Lions Club meeting, and generally everybody seemed supportive of the idea of serving at
Summerfest.
Summerfest rather than Oktoberfest. Putting up the tents is quite a chore every year, and it is a difficult task. 'Cause they buy the beer themselves, they put everything up, they run it from beginning to end, everything with the beer sales at Oktoberfest. You know, here, now all they have to do is come and pour, and they're still getting 50% of the profit. So it's basically going to be a lot less work for them if they get Summerfest instead.
And, okay. Were they, nobody's upset about, nobody's offended by 45's gonna take over your spot?
You know, when we announced what the plan was, the only feedback was, sounds good, and that was it.
Okay. All right. I can live
Okay,
with
are
that.
we,
I have another
yes,
thing.
Trustee Tucker.
On the other end of the spectrum, Summerfest, by having the Lions Club do it, are we benefiting them too? Because now we have volunteers that they do not have to get. Is that
Go for it.
a plus on their end also? Because I understand somebody talked to the Summerfest.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, Director Gola asked the chairman of the Summerfest committee about the volunteers to help serve beer, and I personally reviewed the sign-up sheet. On the sign-up sheet, there were absolutely no one checking IDs, and so my immediate thought was that the Lions Club would do the ID checking for the entire event, and then also help serve beer, so that they would earn basically their keep throughout the event.
Okay, I guess the question is, do we cancel Oktoberfest? And maybe we ought to do consensus. If you say yes, that would be, you would be voting to cancel Oktoberfest.
Okay,
Trustee
yes,
Courtney.
consensus is Trustee Wagner,
Yes.
Trustee Case,
Yes.
Trustee Ayello,
Yes.
Trustee Kazone,
Yes.
Trustee Tucker,
Yes.
President Wolfus.
Yes. Item number 8, consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the purchase of 6 mobile data terminals, MDTs, computers, and 8 Havas docking stations and antennas for the fire department, ambulance, and fire automobiles. These MTDs will be purchased through the State of Illinois Joint Purchasing Program for local governmental agencies in the amount of $25,740. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Currently, fire department, ambulance, and automobiles have mobile data terminals that are outdated, running on Windows XP, XP is no longer supported and is not capable of running our updated dispatch and law enforcement related programs. Staff recommends the purchase of 6 Panasonic semi-rugged Toughbook model CF54 computers and 8 Havis docking stations and antennas to replace the aging and outdated units. Funds for this purchase will be taken from the equipment replacement account number 6550202402 for a total cost of $25,740. And Your Honor and Board, I do have some additional information. Trustee Tucker and I talked for a number of minutes this afternoon about the MDTs, and she had an outstanding question. She said, Keener, tell me a little bit about these warranties. So I actually called the company. On the MDTs, there is a 3-year warranty for manufacturer defects. Our IT manager, Brian Sawyer, has placed into the proposal also an additional 2 years of warranty. So that would be 5 years of warranty for manufacturer defects. Now the warranty starts once they're shipped. So when we receive them 2 to 3 days later, the warranty will be in effect. And then they'll probably end up in the ambulances and the automobiles and fire trucks probably like a week later, because it takes a while to put the docking stations in. And one of the other questions that I answered for Trustee Tucker is about the reserve ambulance and fire truck. So, and folks in the audience at home, we do have a reserve fire truck and we do have a reserve ambulance just in case our frontline ambulance or fire truck goes in the shop and something happens to it. Then we have a reserve that we immediately pull in to the frontline capacity. And where these reserve automobiles, ambulance, and fire trucks come from is they used to be on the front line. So once we get a new vehicle, say we purchase a new ambulance, that old ambulance goes into the reserve and then the reserve gets sold. And so we just rotate them. And we have right now about a 30-year CIP projection of when we replace the ambulances, which is after 9 years, and when we replace the fire truck. So a fire truck is usually on the front line for 14 years, and then it gets bumped to a response for another 9 or so. So between 24 and 25 years, the life of the engine, it'll either be first responder or a reserve, and then we'll buy a new one, and then the reserve gets sold. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Any comments from anybody in the audience here? Seeing none, any comments or questions from the board? Trustee Wagner?
Thank you, President Poltis. In the memo, it says that following the purchase of the new MDT computers, the existing computers and docking stations will be disposed of. Is there any salvage value? Could they be of use to any other community? I remember when we had a similar thing with police squads, I think we donated them to Harvey or a community. Is there any value to that old equipment?
I remember reading in my memo that there wasn't any value to them
Okay.
anymore. Manager Keener, do you have anything else?
Thank you, Your Honor. As their XP and XP is not supported, nobody wants them.
Okay.
So what we usually do is we pop out the hard drive, we take a hammer to the hard drive, and then we recycle the unit through, just like we would recycle an old microwave or something like that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Trustee Tucker?
We have replaced 14 of these for the police department, if I understand correctly. Now we're replacing 8 of them for the fire department. Have we replaced all of them then? Or are we still going to need to replace more units, or are we up to standard if we approve this?
Manager Keener?
Thank you, and that's a very good point, Trustee Tucker. The 14 MDTs that went into the squad cars are exactly like the 6 MDTs that will go into the fire department vehicles. And we did that on purpose, so if one of the MDTs breaks and we need to borrow one from one of the other, each department, we can still function. And to my knowledge, that's all the MDTs we will need between fire and police, because these are first responder MDTs.
Second question, are these above minimum? Because I noticed in our notes it says they will meet the minimum requirement. Are these units going to do more than just the minimum requirement?
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe in the memo it talks about minimum requirements, and that's the minimum operating requirements for the software. So yes, they'll perform fine.
so they'll perform above them. We're not gonna have to redo them or do flashes or updating within a year of it.
To be honest, I'm sure as IT changes so quickly and software changes so quickly, I'm sure we'll have to do patches and updates, but we should not have to replace the MDTs for maybe 5 or 6 years.
Anybody else? Seeing none, roll call or consensus to move
Yes.
this forward.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
President Wolfus?
Yes. Item number 9, consider a resolution for the Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving change order number 1 for a City View contract amendment regarding permitting and inspections in the amount of $24,750. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Staff has been working with Harris Computer Software and implementing the permitting and inspections module of their software. Due to the complexity of the permitting process, the original contract did not allocate sufficient time to configure the new permitting and inspection module, nor did it include sufficient time for conversion of historical data. Village staff proposes change order number 1 from Harris Software in the amount of $24,750 to complete this process. Funds for this purchase will be taken from the equipment replacement, water supply, and wastewater supply account number 65-50202-402, 82-50201-401, and 83-50201-401, respectively. Thank you, Your Honor.
Any members from the public like to comment on this? Seeing none, any board members? Trustee Kuzone.
A quick question on the hourly rates for transferring data. Is there anything that our staff could do? You know, it sounds like it's just uploading from one system to another, or do they have, Harris Computer have to do that?
Thank you, Your Honor. I wish it was that easy. It's also migrating of all the historical data from our current our town, and then they have to configure when it goes in. Our staff, several inline staff, have been working with CityView and preparing for the migration as best we can, but we don't have the capacity to bring all the historical data in because it does need configuration. But once it's in, CityView should be an outstanding software program for staff and citizens alike, allowing eventually the citizens to go onto our website, log into CityView, take a look at possibly scheduling an inspection, maybe doing a permit at 3 o'clock in the morning, things of that nature. So that's what we're working towards, and staff's very excited about this program. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anyone else from the board?
Do we have any guarantee?
Trustee Tucker.
Yes. Do we have any guarantee that when they get into phase 2, that they're not going to turn around and say, oh, no, we didn't plan enough hours for that again? I realize they started phase 1 and found out that they didn't budget enough or figure enough this time to do phase 2, but now they're going to start phase 2. Do we have any guarantee that they figured it out right this time, that they're not going to turn around and say, oh, no, we didn't do that right either?
That's a good question. We'd like to answer it.
That's a very good question. And they have done an extensive review of the historical data with staff and believe that should be an efficient, sufficient amount. What we found out is that our permitting is extremely complex. And unfortunately, when it's that complex, it takes a lot of time to bring all the historical data over. And really, I should probably expound just a little bit on when I say historical data, we already have the addresses migrated over. We did that with code enforcement. But now with the historical data, we're taking each address, and each address could be an I&I inspection, it could be a permit, it could be all kinds of different inspections for all these permits. It's tons of data. And then what we're doing as staff is we're opening up CityView for the police to look at, for the fire department to look at, for code enforcement to look at, for me to look at. There'll be a number of different data points within that software of each file that alert us to certain things, including safety of an individual going to that home. So it's much more complex than just bringing over inspections. it's everything from our town into City View so that we can share a piece of the pie throughout the entire village staff. So it's pretty complex, and I hope that amount of money is enough. And certainly I'll be asking Vetus on a weekly basis how we're doing. And Your Honor and Board, I do meet with Vetus and Dale and Patrick on a weekly basis on City View because I'm sort of an impatient village manager, and I'd like it to be migrated as quick as possible. Thank you, Your Honor.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call for consensus to move it on.
Okay, Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Wolfers?
Yes. Number 10, consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the Illinois Green Infrastructure Grant with the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency for the South Monterey stormwater quality improvements. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Village of Villa Park was previously awarded an Illinois Green Infrastructure Grant, also known as IGIG, in the amount of $55,950 to cover 75% of the village's expenses for stormwater quality improvements within the 600 to 700 block of South Monterey Avenue. Due to the state's budget impasse, IGIG funding had been temporarily suspended. Now the funding has been reinstated and a new grant agreement is needed. And Your Honor and Board, Director Giskelis did point out something to me this afternoon that I had forgotten, is that it's a 75-25 grant. So 75% of the grant is coming from the state of Illinois. The other 25 is coming from DuPage County. And so when you put it together, I believe with my math skills, it's 100% paid for by somebody else and not the village. And so we look forward to doing this. And this has been a project that's been on the table for some time and had to be tabled due to the state budget impasse. Thank you, Your Honor.
I like your math skills. I wish you'd use it more often. Let's see, any other questions from the board? Trustee Wagner?
Yeah, I noticed there was a thing here about bioretention units. Maybe, I hate to prolong our meeting, I know we have a long meeting, but I'm just interested in what that means. Are they all connected, or?
Are we going to ask Vetus, or are we?
He wants to come up,
I
Your
can see.
Honor. I can see that.
I think you ought to just sit right over here in the front, save a lot of time.
Well, in this particular case, it's a fancy name for rain gardens, but the bioretention part of it is they modified the soil in the ditch lines to hold more water and to support the plant growth. That is, water-loving plants, but plants that will not die in periods of dry weather, because you're going to have both during the course of the year.
So I guess my question is, will these 12 units be connected to each other, or could they be separate from each other? I mean, could there be?
Well,
and
there'll
what
be driveway culverts in between them, so
Okay.
they won't be totally connected, but the water will flow through all of them at the same time after every rain event.
Okay, that's all I had.
So they're connected.
Don't move yet.
Yes, they're connected.
Trustee Tucker? Go ahead.
They're only on one side of the road, though. Will they be on the other side?
I don't know the exact locations. I know we had to reduce it because of the aftermath of the ditching project, which we couldn't wait and had to go ahead and do. So I'd have to find out where the exact locations are. I believe you're right, though. They may be all on one side,
Yeah,
but I'm not
because the ditch is
100%
only on
sure.
one side of the road there.
Okay, any other questions? Consensus to move this forward.
Okay, Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Wolfers?
Yes. Item number 11, consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the purchase of the property at 546 South Euclid. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Village will be receiving grant funding through a Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery to acquire the property located at 546 South Euclid and to demolish the house. A resolution approving the purchase and sale agreement must be approved before the village can purchase the property from the current owners. Your Honor, this item has been up before the board, and now we're finalizing the purchase. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the closing for the home is on June 15th.
Correct.
And the homeowner, I believe, is very excited to close that chapter of his life. This particular address has received much attention from stormwater flooding, and this is a very good use of the grant to purchase the home and create a detention area that will help this particular neighborhood. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you have any idea how much the grant was for offhand?
I believe in my notes, the grant is at 435, Vedas? I believe it's 300.
326, 250.
Yes.
75% of the total.
Yes, okay. Any comments from the public on this item? Seeing none, any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Wagner.
Yeah, a very quick question. I searched through the purchase agreement. Is there going to be any effort to remove fixtures that could be salvageable from the home?
Before the demolition?
Before the demolition, right.
I'll answer that one.
Oh,
There's 13 kids in the family. They'll take care of it.
Okay, I'm thinking for our benefit.
well, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe one of the reasons why we're discussing this particular project this evening is because the homeowner did want to take certain things out of the home, which then we had to go back and add to the agreement, which slowed the process down.
Okay.
But currently, staff does not have any thoughts about removing anything from the home. I do have to tell you, we did talk about using the furnace in an outlying building that isn't used much, but that was just light talk at a staff meeting.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Any consensus to move this forward, please?
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Wolfert?
Yes. Item 12, consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, for maintenance under the Illinois Highway Code. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village annually transfers a portion of its MFT, motor fuel tax allotment from the state of Illinois to the corporate fund to defray expenses associated with street maintenance, snow removal, street light, and traffic control energy and traffic control maintenance. A resolution is required to authorize a transfer of MFT funds. This resolution is for the 2017-2018 fiscal year. Your Honor and Board, that's the year we're in right now, starting May 1. The budget account for the transfer is $32,502,710, and the amount to be transferred is $527,500. Thank you, Your Honor.
Any comments from the public on this item? Seeing none, any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, consensus to move this forward, please.
Trustee Ayello?
No.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
President Wolfert?
Yes. Item 13, consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving bids for the 2017 street improvement project. Manager Keenan.
Thank you, Your Honor. The 2017 street improvement project will consist of street improvements at various locations throughout the village, improvements to 2 parking lots, and an alternate item to extend Belden Avenue east of Harvard Avenue. The project was publicly bid with 9 contractors submitting bids. Staff recommends awarding the contract to Orange Crush of Hillside, Illinois, in the amount of $2,022,000. Funding sources include the Street Improvement Fund, referendum and non-referendum funds, water and wastewater funds. And Your Honor, would you like me to read a list of improvements or roads into the public record as
Would you
well?
like to read it?
If you'd like me to.
Go right ahead.
This project consists of the rehabilitation of various streets by means of selected pavement rehab methods. The project includes Adams Street from Addison Avenue to Ardmore Avenue, Cross Street from Julia Drive to Terry Lane, Grant Avenue from Terry Lane to Monroe Street, Harvard Avenue from North Avenue to the north end, Ridge Road from Addison Road to Harvard Avenue, and Sunset Drive from Addison Road to Yale Avenue. Some selective water system and sanitary sewer system improvements are also included. And then, Your Honor, it also includes the 2 parking lots and Belden Avenue. And Belden Avenue was bid, Your Honor and Board, as an alternate. We do have a developer interested in a particular area and to build single-family homes, and it would be his responsibility to provide the village, I believe, in excess of $25,000 for his portion of the roadway, and then the village's portion would be about $63,000 for a total about $93,000 plus or minus. I'm not mistaken, Your Honor. Thank you.
And that's only if he goes ahead with the building, right?
That is correct, Your Honor. That's why it's bid as an alternate. So if he doesn't proceed through the steps to build the single-family residence, then we will not extend Belden, and we'll use that money someplace else.
Okay. Any comments from the public on this item? Yes. Come up to the mic, state your name, please, for the record, and sign in. Or did you already, you already signed in?
Yeah, John Guitros.
Yeah, John Guitros, 526 East Park. 2 things. The new street, the street improvement project, have we noticed asphalt prices? Have they gone up or kind of remained the same? And the second question I got is, of this $2,022,000, how much is that of referendum? How much of that $2,022,000 is referendum portion?
Yeah,
Absolutely, Venus.
Venus, you're on it.
I'd have to look on the asphalt prices. I think they're holding fairly steady, but I'd have to check to see whether they went up or down.
Oil prices are still down, so.
Well, they're down
so
relative,
might
but
be
I mean
holding
steady lately.
Right.
Referendum portion is $1,658,142.70.
So about half of it.
Well, it's 2 million, so 1.6 out of 2.
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that one more time?
1,658,142.70.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else from the public? Seeing none, questions or comments from the board? Trustee Allo, we'll go down to the end this time.
Quick question on the parking lots, the 2 parking lots. What do we spend on the 2 parking lots? Under 350,000? It's under 350,000 is the only question.
Yeah, it is.
The total bid for the 2 parking lots was $166,125 and 88 cents.
Perfect, thank you.
Trustee Tucker?
East, how far east is that Belden going?
To connect to Harvard. Well,
It's already connected to Harvard.
Harvard to Yale. Is it Yale?
You can get through on Yale to it, so where's it going east to? Is it going west?
It's going west.
Oh, okay, I think you're right.
Because the east part
Well, I meant
starts at
east-
the,
We meant east from Harvard to connect to the dead end.
to the dead end. So
Right.
you're talking about adding it into the dead end from Harvard out west.
Right.
Anybody else? Okay, consensus to move this forward, please?
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Ayello?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Number 14, consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing change order number 1 to the contract between the Village of Villa Park and Orange Crush LLC for the 2017 South Michigan Ave Improvement Project, Park to Madison. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village has a contract with Orange Crush LLC of Hillside, Illinois for the 2017 South Michigan Avenue Improvement Project, Park to Madison. During construction, it was determined that approximately 450 feet of existing water main in the block of South Michigan Avenue between Madison and Washington is located at very shallow depths. Proposed change order number 1 consists of additional pay items and quantities as needed to replace the 450 feet of shallow water main at a lower depth. The net amount of proposed change order number 1 is an addition of $101,380 for an adjusted contract amount of $1,709,380. And Your Honor and Board, the water main that we're talking about, the 450 feet at both ends, it's at a pretty good level. However, coming in, it rises for some strange reason, and it's 24 or less inches below the road. So once they reconstruct the road and put gravel in there, it's going to create an issue where it possibly may freeze or cause laterals to freeze. And so staff recommends obviously lowering the water main at additional depth to prevent the freezing. Thank you, Your Honor.
Any comments from the public on this item? Seeing
John
none?
Petros wants to speak again. Okay.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Kazone.
Mayor Jacquino, are we going to be replacing, or Vitas, are we replacing services? Are the services, obviously they're at that depth, but do they deepen as they get towards the residents?
We will need to replace services up to the V-box. In the parkway, they get deeper, but obviously we cannot have them shallow under the pavement because that's where you have the greatest risk of freezing.
So they're just going to the B-box? Do we know the depth from the B-box to the house, the residents at all? I mean, are they deepen as they get to the B-box?
They typically do because the parkway comes up from the street.
Okay. That's all I got.
Anyone else? Trustee Ayala?
The homeowners are going to be made aware of the fact that we're lowering this thing in the immediate, well, the homeowners in the immediate vicinity going to be aware, other than if they're watching today. Are they going to be notified by letter?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Because we're going to have to shut down the main when we switch over from the old to the new.
And it might be a good idea for some of them to replace their services at that time. Would that be something we might want to suggest in the letter if they want to
Well,
do
they
that?
can get permits for that, but our contractor wouldn't.
I understand our
perform
contractor
that.
wouldn't do that, but it'd be, some of the people on the block might be interested in, hey, you know what, if you're gonna lower that, maybe I'm not 4 feet down, maybe I'm only 24 inches also, for some reason.
They were actually all sent letters about the water to begin with, but we'll certainly include that in the notification that it's being lowered and they may want to consider lowering theirs.
While it's open,
I don't know if we can do it while it's open, because we can't leave the holes open too long.
for very long, okay. Good point.
Anyone else? Consensus to move this to the formal.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Item 15, consider a resolution for the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, for change order number 2, final, for the East Park Boulevard Improvement Project. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The village has a contract with A-Lamp Concrete Contractors, Inc. of Schaumburg, Illinois for the 2016 East Park Boulevard Improvement Project. Proposed final change order number 2 consists of the final balancing of contract quantities as measured in the field. The net amount of proposed final change order number 2 is a deduction of $69,729.35 for an adjusted final contract amount of $1,352,517.31. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. And members from the public have a comment? Yes.
John Gietrich, 526 East Park Boulevard. It's basically the same question, the 69, 729. What portion of that is for the referendum? Would that be for the deducts for the referendum numbers? And Vitas will answer that.
So how much money will go back into the, what funds?
What part of that is for the
Right.
referendum?
Well, you have to remember change order is additions and subtractions.
Yeah.
So not everything is going down. The bond referendum fund is actually going up by $5,729. Street Improvement Fund is going up by $23,632, and I'm rounding. Water Supply Fund is going down by $10,355, and the Wastewater Fund is going down by $88,737.
So that's, to his question, none is going back into the bond money, right?
The portion that's charged at a referendum is going to be increased.
Right.
By $5,729.
Right. Yes, same thing. Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, consensus to move this to forward, formal.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Number 16, consider an ordinance for the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, for a stormwater variance at 1000 North Villa. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. International Carriers Enterprises, Inc., located at 1000 Northville Avenue, proposes to construct a parking lot adjacent to their existing building. Stormwater detention associated with new construction is required. The developer proposes to provide partial stormwater detention and pay a fee in lieu for the remainder. The fee in lieu in the amount of $70,659.76 will be deposited into the stormwater account and can only be used in the future for stormwater improvements within the watershed. The village's Stormwater Oversight Committee held a public hearing on the variance and recommended adoption of the ordinance. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Any members of the public have comment on this? Seeing none, any members of the board, questions or comments? Trustee Tucker.
I want to know what our liability is on the flood issue for all the buildings around it. Because I did walk out on that property and they build that lot on. What liability are we if we approve this and all of a sudden they start flooding all the businesses around it?
Manager Keener.
I think that's going to go to Vetus, Your Honor.
Vetus. You're up. Well, they were already flooding, weren't they?
I was just going to say, in order to be liable, number one, I'm not sure that we would be liable in any event, but moreover, how much coverage, how effective the amount of coverage.
One of the reasons for the variance is because
Yeah.
the area is already floodplain, and it's very difficult to provide stormwater detention in a floodplain. They are providing compensatory storage instead, but compensatory storage, by the definition of the ordinance, is not detention, which is why they have to get the variance to provide the detention. And the adjacent downstream property is actually the Forest Preserve on the other side of Villa Avenue. The DuPage County did bring this to their stormwater committee, and they do support the variance.
Anything else, Trustee Tucker? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, consensus to move this to the formal.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Item 17, consider an ordinance authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds, sales tax alternate revenue source, Series 2017B of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2 million for certain public infrastructure projects, including but not limited to stormwater drainage, improvements in the connection with the Jackson Pond Improvement Project, and a portion of the Michigan Ave Improvement Project, Madison to Jackson Street, within the village. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. With the passage of the library bond and the village's half-cent non-home rule sales tax referendum in April 2017, it is now time to begin issuing bonds. This authorizing ordinance will start the process for issuing alternate revenue bonds for stormwater improvements. We are planning to have the Bond Issue Notification Act hearing on June 12th, final bond ordinance adoption on July 10th, with closing on August 1st. We have engaged the entire bond team, Spear Financial as village financial advisors, Miller Canfield as bond counsel, and George K. Baum as underwriters. The bond team has been working with village and library staff to plan a successful bond sale. And Your Honor and Board, the proposed revenue stream to repay the $2 million would be from the $6 monthly fee, which we established a few months ago. And so obviously that $6 fee will be tied up for 18 to 20 years or so to pay back this $2 million worth of bond proceeds. Thank you, Your Honor.
Any comments from the public? Seeing none, questions or comments from the board? Trustee Allo?
This is in relation to Michigan Avenue. How far down the road are we on District 45 and us cooperating with how that's going to be done exactly? Is there engineering on it already?
Your Honor.
Yeah. Manager Keener?
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, in fact, we went through several engineering drafts for the particular placement of the Jackson Detention Basin Pond. And currently we believe, staff believes, that we have an appropriate plan to present to District 45's school board on the second meeting, their second meeting in June. With we'll provide those folks and citizens with minimal impact to the area by expanding the detention basin vertically and horizontally. And then part of the improvement plan is also moving water, stormwater if you will, more towards High Ridge and then around to our land, also between High Ridge and the trees there. So yes, we've been working with D45 and working with our engineers to provide an acceptable plan that we can present that would make all parties happy, including Parks and Rec, because that particular department was concerned about the High Ridge ball fields, et cetera. So thank you, Ron.
Okay. Anyone else?
Thank you, Village Manager.
Consensus to move this to the formal?
Okay, Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
President Volfus?
Yes. Now, item 18, consider an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, providing a fee structure for driveway permits. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Village staff reviewed residential driveway permits and found them to be higher than fees in neighboring communities. Staff recommends a new lower-priced fee structure for residential driveways, an ordinance change to Section 7-202-18-104C, 21-223, and Appendix D of the Municipal Code would be needed. And Your Honor and Board, the staff listened to area developers, including some of our trustees, and we actually took a look at Elmhurst and Lombard and how they issued driveway permits and what they charged. And what we'd like to do this evening is lower the cost of Villa Park's driveway permits. And I'm going to flip to the appropriate page. What we'd like to do, Your Honor and Board and folks here and at home, is to charge $89 for driveway permit, and that would be a driveway and an approach replacement, no widening. That would cost $89. Currently it costs $275. The next would be a driveway and approach replacement and widening. The proposal is to charge $139. Right now we charge $375. The next would be driveway and or approach replacement in a management area, which would trigger stormwater, etc. That proposed fee is $189, and currently we charge $375. So, Your Honor and Board, it'd be $89, $139, and $189, and all three of those proposals are lowering from either $275 or $375, which would make the Village of Villa Park more competitive in its residential driveway permitting. Thank you, Your Honor.
Any members of the public have a comment on this item? Any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Kazone.
No, I'd just like to commend staff for looking at that. I think that's, we've talked a lot in the past few years about making Villa Park more competitive with other towns, and I think it's a great step in the right direction. I commend staff for their work on that.
Anyone else? Trustee Aiello.
Two things. I'd like to make sure we make the change retroactive to January 1st of this year. And two, with this change, it sounded like an $89 permit, but then when I listened to that more fully, it could be still if I change my driveway, expand it, and do the apron, potentially I've got 3 different fees I'm paying, correct? It's one fee across the board, even if stormwater gets jumped into that?
Go over it again.
Do the last one only.
Okay, so the last one is a driveway and/or approach replacement, and it's basically if your replacement and it triggers a stormwater
Okay,
ordinance.
perfect.
And that's why it goes up to 189. Okay.
Thank you.
I think this is a great idea too, not just to lower the fees to be more competitive, easier on the residents, but I think in the long run, it'll also make the village look better. You know, so with the, we don't have some crummy driveways or people discouraged and parking halfway on the grass, so it might help with that. So trustee Allo?
Is it retroactive now, the way we've written it?
I don't believe so.
No.
I don't think so. I don't think
No.
it was. Do we need to amend this? I
Well,
mean, is there consensus to do it,
It'd be
to
kind of
make
hard
it
to make it
retroactive?
retroactive. We'd have to reissue refunds then, wouldn't we?
As of January 1st?
Yeah, so. I don't know. It's up to you. Well,
I would
Trustee.
ask to amend, I petition to amend.
Manager Keener.
Sure.
Doing all the.
In all fairness, Your Honor and Board, I did talk to one resident that her driveway permit was extremely expensive, and so I instructed staff to work with her to try to get down the fees. And then I did promise her that if this was approved tonight, that tomorrow I would refund her money down to
There you go.
$89. So I did promise one resident I would do that.
And
And his phone number is.
and I just want to make sure that that's fairly done, so that no one here appears to be inappropriately influencing the world, and make it retroactive so that anybody in that scenario,
Go ahead.
whether they spoke with any of us on this particular issue.
The amount in question is within the manager's purview for expenditure. What I would
okay.
suggest, yes, what I would suggest is that the board direct the policy to be applied, and so those citizens who contact the village, that the manager act as he has in the one instance referenced.
I can live with that.
Yeah.
The manager's already demonstrated that he's willing to make the compromise.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think he hears the board that he should consider those requests for somebody who
Fair
had
enough.
permits.
I just wanted to make
January
sure
1st.
he was aware we were on his side in that scenario. Okay.
Okay, got it?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other, trustee Case?
Good thing we started it now instead of in the fall.
Yes,
Yeah.
true. 5 months in. So, anybody else? Seeing none, consensus to move this forward.
Trustee Wagner.
Yes.
Trustee Ayello.
Yes.
Trustee Kazone.
Yes.
Trustee Tucker.
Yes.
Trustee Case.
Yes.
President Volpes.
Yes. Number 19, consider an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, to modify the one-way traffic restriction on Stone Road from 3rd to Addison Road. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. The development plan for a new car wash located at 780 North Addison Road calls for two-way traffic on Stone Road between 3rd Avenue and Addison Road. A traffic study concluded that it was possible to permit two-way traffic on this section of Stone Road. Both village staff and the Traffic and Safety Commission have reviewed the proposed changes. To implement the change, an amendment to Section 14-105A, one-way streets of the Villa Park Municipal Code is needed. And Your Honor and Board, the Planning and Zoning Committee, if I'm not mistaken, reviewed this and recommended it. Traffic and Safety did not object. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the preliminarily it was approved by the board, and now we're coming back and formally adopting the two-way traffic. So this will be a final action. Thank you, Your Honor.
Any members of the public like to comment on this? Seeing none, any questions or comments from the board? Trustee Ayello, go ahead.
Simple one that I support the resolution, but I would like to make sure that we do some, I come down Stone Road occasionally, probably illegally violating the speed limit, and on occasion, when I'm not paying attention coming off the North Avenue, so,
Deputy Chief Leahy, are you here listening to that?
Can we make sure that we throw some flashing lights out there to remind us bad people that you need to slow down coming off of North Avenue with the two-way traffic.
You know, I'm pretty sure that the manager probably has a plan. They've already worked this out. So Vetus is raising his hand. He can't wait to get to the mic.
And Your Honor, however, we did take a note that Trustee Aiello speeds in this area.
Yes.
If you read back to the ordinance that was approved back by the board, the approval of development included the installation of a radar feedback speed limit sign, which has already been purchased with escrow money from the developer. We're just waiting to
It's not
install
hooked
it.
up yet, though.
And whenever you're ready to drive down the street again, we'll be glad to install it.
And it looks like when it does, there'll be a barrier there, so people won't be confused when they're coming off of North Avenue. So that's, you know, a concrete barrier. They'll see that, so. And let me be honest with you, I think a lot of people already drive the wrong way down that street.
That I haven't done.
Okay. I've seen it. I haven't done it.
You haven't seen me do it.
No, I wouldn't. Never.
No.
Trustee Case.
Could we please let Trustee Aiello know when it's hooked up?
Trustee Tucker?
Yes, I have a concern the other direction. Turning left and heading the other way on the one-way, heading the other direction on it. You're talking two-way traffic on it. That's the turn lane right there where they'd be turning.
Yes.
So you're gonna have a lot of rear end going on.
You mean
Did they
turning
check
left
it?
off of
Turning left off
northbound
of Addison onto that road. Did the traffic study to show what was happening on that? Because that's where the turn lane is for the lanes for North Avenue. And there is a lane there. I realize there's already
I think we have-
lines put in there.
I think staff's ready for that answer. They're ready for all the answers.
It's your weight loss program.
No, the traffic study did include provisions for the left turn lane, and the one can be fit in there.
Oh, I see it on the map here.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a left turn lane.
I know there's one there already, but that left turn lane, most of them figure it's for the North Avenue turning by the railroad tracks. So
No,
they
it'll be a
move over
separate
in that
turn lane
line
for
for it.
Stone
So are
Road.
they going to make some set that people will realize that people will be slowing down to stop right there and possibly turn on Stone and not go into the North Avenue one?
It will be a separate left turn lane.
Okay,
It
so
won't
they're
be
gonna
the
make a
same one.
separate one, it won't be, because they're lined
Yeah,
up
there'll be a
right now.
separation between the two.
Okay, because they're lined up right now. Right now on Addison Road, it's lined up for the turn lane for North Avenue.
The other thing they're gonna be doing is extending the median there too, so that you cannot pull into the car wash itself. You're gonna have to pull onto Stone Road. So it's all been run through the traffic engineer.
Yeah. And
as
there's
far as
plenty
the
of
geometrics.
marking on the road itself with arrows indicating that Stone is where this left turn lane goes. So,
There's actually a lane right there
Yeah.
already. That's what I'm saying. Are they
Well,
gonna
we'll-
make it clear because people already move into that lane right now to make the turn at North Avenue? I see it every day.
we'll keep an eye on it. So. Anyone else from the board? Okay, consensus to move this forward.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Yes. Item 20, consider an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the number of K1 liquor licenses within the village. Manager Keener.
Thank you, Your Honor. Currently, there are two K1 liquor licenses, one being used by a business, the other is not. Staff recommends that Section 3-313A of the Village Code be modified to reflect a decrease of Class K1 liquor licenses from 2 to 1, reflecting the current usage. Thank you, Your Honor.
Any questions from the public on this? Seeing none, questions from the board, comments?
Did that one license disappear because the person didn't reapply?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, consensus to move this forward.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Bolfus?
Okay, so I will convene over to the formal agenda. The way this works was we have public comments on agenda items, so if anyone has any comments on items on the formal agenda, that would be all the way up to item 6, 3 through 6. If you have comments on non-agenda items, that time for that will come at the end on item number 7. So are there any amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, and we'll go to the consent agenda. I'll just read the first two. Number A, bill listing for the week of May 15th and May 22nd, 2017 for the total of $850,828.92, and the minutes from the village formal board meeting on May 8th, 2017. Now, number 3 goes through from A to I. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Mr. President,
Trustee
I motion that we approve.
Second? Pardon me?
I'm sorry, I
Let's
thought-
get
Yeah, that's
a
right, it goes
second,
through
and then
L.
you can ask a question.
Okay.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I'm ready. Looked like an aye, but. Do we have a second?
Second.
Trustee Case. Any questions on that?
No questions on
No,
consent
no
agenda,
consent.
sir.
We already talked about these items all night. So, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Wolfus?
Yes. So with that, we'll move on to number 4. First and final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, providing a fee structure for driveway permits. The village staff reviewed residential driveway permit fees and found them to be higher than fees in neighboring communities. Staff recommends a new lower price fee structure for residential driveways. An ordinance change for section 7-202, 18-104C, number 21-223, and appendix D of the municipal code would be needed. Do I have a motion for the first and final reading? Trustee Aiello?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Trustee Case? Any questions on this? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Wolfus?
Yes. Item number 5, first and final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, to modify the one-way traffic restrictions on Stone Road from 3rd Avenue to Addison Road. The development plans for a new car wash at 780 North Addison Road calls for two-way traffic on Stone Road between 3rd Avenue and Addison Road. The traffic study concluded that it was possible to permit two-way traffic on this section of Stone Road. Both the village staff and the Traffic and Safety Commission have reviewed the proposed changes. To implement the change, an amendment to section 14-105A, one-way street of the Village Villa Park Code would be needed. Do I have a motion for this is first and final reading?
Mr. President,
Trustee
I'll
Kazone?
make the motion.
Do I have a second? Trustee Case?
Second.
Do I have any questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Case?
Yes.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Wolfus?
Yes. Item 6, first and final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending the number of K1 liquor licenses within the village. Currently, there are 2 K1 liquor licenses. One is being used by a business and the other is not. Staff recommends that section 3-313A of the village code be modified to reflect the decrease in class K1 liquor license from 2 to 1, reflecting the current usage. Do you have a motion for the first and final reading? Trustee Case,
I'll go to,
first.
yes, I'll be,
Do I have a second?
I'll second
Trustee
that
Wagner?
motion.
That's a second, Dan. Do we have any questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Trustee Aiello?
Yes.
Trustee Kazone?
Yes.
Trustee Wagner?
Yes.
Trustee Case?
Yeah.
Trustee Tucker?
Yes.
President Wolfus?
Yes. Item 7, public comments on non-agenda items. Do we have any members of the public who have another issue that's not on the agenda they'd like to discuss? Seeing none, we'll move to the village. Oh, you gotta be fast, you know.
Hey, I'm Michelle Ross. I'm a Villa Park resident of Kenilworth Avenue here. I was just curious for your open seat appointment since I had emailed you. You
It's
graciously
coming up on
emailed
my,
me back.
coming up on my report, so.
Oh, so go back and sit
No,
down.
you can ask her where you want.
I'll go back.
I'll tell you right now if you want, so. Okay, I was gonna make the announcement in the President's Report section that I'm asking residents who are interested in the open seat to fill out an application, which is available in the document section on the invillepark.com website. And up in the upper right-hand corner, after you go to Document Center, there'll be a search box. If you type in there, application for boards and commissions, and then fill that out, it'll pop up, fill that out, and you could send that to the village at 20.
Well, they said send it to you, so I sent it to you.
We'll put my
directly.
name on it.
Oh,
Well, you
but
could
you
send
got
it.
mine, right?
I did not get yours.
Oh, I sent it as an attachment a couple.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I'll resend.
So, okay, I'll look for it again. I have your email address. So, and I'm asking residents to submit those to me by June 16th, so that in the first meeting in July, we hopefully will have a nomination for the seat, so.
Great.
Okay, so, village website, document center,
Got it.
upper right-hand corner, type
Do you
in.
want it to go to you, or?
Would you send it to the village hall
Okay.
and it,
If I sent it to
with
you
my name
directly
on it?
Email,
You-
and then I can send it to
if
the
I-
village. Whatever you like.
Well, I didn't see.
You're the president.
I got your email.
Okay.
I think I gave you the instructions.
Correct, and
But
I
I did
replied
not see an
back, but that's
attachment
fine.
when I.
I'll work on it.
I have to double check.
Perfect,
So,
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So, anyone else from the public? Clerk's report.
No report.
Trustees report. We'll start on the right with Trustee Kazon.
That's one thing that, I don't think it was brought up, that fire department just got a grant through Senator Durbin's office. I believe it was $150,000.
$159,091.
But thank you. Obviously, you were going to talk about that too. But I think that's great. Another grant that we get for equipment that that the taxpayers in town don't have to pay for. They're paying for it in one way or another, but it doesn't come out of our budget directly. So I think that's great that we keep getting these and just keep it up. And that's all I got.
Can I follow up on that? Who does all the work applying for those grants at the fire department?
Steve Stapleton and me.
Okay. Looks like you guys got that down pretty good, so,
Got a plan.
good. Thank you. Trustee Case?
I don't mean to bring this up, but I'm gonna bring it up. And I don't know how it works, but has anybody ever talked to the village of Lombard about combining the libraries together?
You're not. Not
The
me.
reason I'm asking is I
We know
talked to
that
some
answer.
Lombard residents and they thought it would be a good idea because I guess they got shut down. So I'm just asking if we've ever talked to Lombard about putting up one big one in a centralized area.
I'm not aware of that. We'd have to ask the library board if they did, so.
Or are we two different? Is the village of Villa Park different from Lombard?
What, each
Go ahead.
of the libraries are public libraries under their villages, so that what they are, even though they elect their own board, it's a fluke of our Illinois statutes, they are so-called departments of our villages. So that what you would have to do in that instance, and having done it in the past, is you would have agreements for joint usage. But that's from the olden days, and if they have their own library, because we belong to the Library Association, so that if you want a book that Lombard has, you most certainly could ask for it and they send it over, and we send books back and forth. So you do have access to each other's inventory of books, records, tapes, whatever.
I'm just asking if there's a possibility of looking into it. Or is it too late?
Well, okay.
Sorry. Got Michelle Ross. I'm on your little.
Excuse me, please sign in. Okay.
Okay. I'm on your Villa Park Library Board. I'm a board member, and even if you were to think about that, how would you do the taxing bodies of the residents to even tax each resident for Lombard's going to tax this amount to.
I don't know, I'm just
Park.
asking.
No, I'm just saying, that's one of the questions.
I,
As she had said.
Could you do an intergovernmental agreement, right?
Right. I have, in fact, negotiated such agreements whereby the more, or where one town didn't have a library, so they paid a fee to the other town, or where the amenities in one town are greater, and to have total equal access so that your library card is good in the other.
Right, no,
It
absolutely,
comes to a
interlibrary
negotiated intergovernmental agreement where dollars are are made whole, but it doesn't affect the levy, because your levy is through the village,
Right,
their levy is
absolutely,
through
and
the
theirs
village, yeah.
Different. So, just again, Oak Brook Terrace, they don't have a library. So how that works is Oak Brook Terrace Village pays a part of their residents' cards to the Villa Park Library.
Right.
Even on Oak Brook Terrace, to utilize Oak Brook Library, that resident fee was way higher than what we charge. So Oak Brook Terrace then offers their residents to say, okay, here's a library card, we'll kick back $50 to the $75 or $100, I'm not sure the quote right now, to help for that library. So it really wouldn't be beneficial to have the two libraries merge. Otherwise, why wouldn't we merge with Elmhurst or I don't
know.
I'm not sure where you're going.
Yeah, I was just brought up to me by a bunch of Lombard
Oh,
residents.
sure.
Okay, because they had the so-called ideal location for it. Okay, and I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
and again, with that location, I think that was, what do you call it, when you pass away, and that Helen Plum, the Plum Library left that property for that to be a library. Because I do know at one time they were looking to go locate somewhere else, and so they said, no, it's there or nothing, so I'm not sure. But again, that's Lombard, or Villa Park.
Right.
And I think we have a great library that attracts from Oak Brook Terrace, because now where would Oak Brook Terrace go?
Well, the location would be in a great spot, which I'm not gonna.
So your suggestion is to build two communities, build one
Lombard wants to put
library.
up a $20 million library.
It-
Villa Park wants to put up a 10. We both go 10 and 10, and everybody's
Right.
happy.
By a referendum.
Well, wait a minute, I want to go back and go to your community center. You want to put up a beautiful community center over by Wildwood, and they're putting one up at Madison Trail. Why don't we?
Sure. Yes.
Not a bad idea.
I'm just saying, so,
I-
but again, we're just our own, and we're just proud of our community. Yeah, sure, we maybe could, but it's really not beneficial for what we utilize for the number of people that come through our library, on a yearly basis. I don't have the statistics in front of me to say, we have 100,000, 200,000 a year or a month, or, but, I mean, it's just not beneficial.
I was always told never be afraid to ask.
Absolutely, and
And
look
I
at me,
asked.
I'm not, I didn't expect to be a library board member, and I've learned so much, so, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
The way that is done, by the way, is by referendum in both towns. You would then create a library district, which is its own governmental entity. However, having researched this in the past with all of these things, when you do that merger, your municipality retains its own debt. So we would have library bonds, right? And even if we formed a district, we'd still have to pay off the bonds. So right now, it's not a viable alternative for us.
Anything else, Trustee Case?
No, I'm afraid of. Sorry.
I'm here all day.
Trustee Ayala, anything?
Yeah, I have a question. Lions Club asked us to pass, or we were asked today to pass a resolution to get rid of Oktoberfest that Lions Club runs, right? Why is Lions Club asking us, why didn't Lions Club just withdraw the request to do Oktoberfest? Rather than asking us to deny it.
Huh?
I understood.
Who does Oktoberfest?
Village
The
does.
village does it.
Yes.
Okay. Then scratch that whole thought.
Okay. Anything else?
Not for that.
Trustee Tucker.
Yes, I want to know the update on how the roads are going, because somebody asked me that. Now that the weather's changing from rain to clear, where are we at?
South Michigan, Park to Madison, all the underground work except for the newly approved water main is complete. They'll probably be starting that tomorrow right away. And concrete work is also likely to begin next week. South Summit asphalt surface has been installed and restoration work has been nearly completed. You've seen sod going down up there. That should be done next few weeks. Central Boulevard, construction is scheduled to begin the week of June 5th. So after the Memorial holiday, they'll be starting that one. North Side Sidewalk, restoration work is ongoing and expected to finish the next couple of weeks. You notice there's activity going on Roosevelt Road, so that first phase by Ardmore is underway, and the other one is on the June letting. So the new traffic signal at Villa Avenue and that whole improvement there, that'll be they'll be opening bids and awarding a contract in June. That's an IDOT job. High Ridge, they should be coming back next week to redo High Ridge. We're just waiting for verification from the contractor that that's when they are coming back. That's the schedule. And probably, we have multiple design projects. I won't go into all of them, but probably the next one that's going to be going to bid very soon is Bierman Combined Sewer Separation.
Anything else, Trustee Tucker?
No.
Trustee Wagner?
Thank you, President Fuldis. Just a couple things. The Village's Environmental Concerns Commission will be meeting here at Village Hall Thursday, May 25th at 7:15 p.m. The Traffic and Safety Commission rescheduled their monthly meeting, so their meeting for this month will be on Tuesday, May 30th at 8 p.m. here at Village Hall. And lastly, just want to let folks know that the fabulous, I say fabulous, Park Arts Center has a new exhibit, photographic exhibit that's really very interesting. That exhibit will be going until July 1st, and they're normally open Tuesday through Saturday, I think from 1 till 6. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And the only thing I have is just a reminder to the public that pool passes are on sale now. The early bird fee is available till June 10th. The prices are the same as they were last year for the passes, and you can get those passes at the Community Rec Building or the Iowa Community Center. So they'll be glad to do that. So. The other thing I have is we have a number of commissions that need members besides the board seat. So if anybody is interested in one of our other village commissions, virtually every commission needs members. Again, you could go to the village website under documents, and then in the upper right-hand corner you'll get a search box after that, and then just type in the applications for boards and commissions and fill that out and send that into the village, and that'll get to me. So I'd appreciate anybody who's interested, please do that. And again, as I mentioned, we have an empty seat, and if you do the same process for the board seat, make sure you notate on there which you want a commission, or if you want to be on the village board, send that again to the village, and it'll get to me, to my attention. So, and one last thing is on June 3rd is Coffee with the Board on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock, and that'll, so we'll have that one on June 3rd, and then we're going to take a couple months off for the summer because we got 4th of July in July, and then we're heavily into the vacation season, and we'll look at it again in September. So that's all I have. So we'll move now to the manager's report.
Just one item tonight, Your Honor. I'd like to congratulate Director Gola and the staff. A job well done for the community gardens. All the plots have been leased. The area looks really nice, and I look forward to looking at everybody's tomatoes. So,
Just look at them.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, well,
If there's one by Stone, I think I can get you away fast enough.
I think they have cameras out there.
thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. With that, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President,
Trustee
make a
Kazal?
motion to adjourn.
A second?
Second.
Trustee Aiello, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we're adjourned.
A plus.